We begin today with the question of whether J.K. Rowling may be going to jail. Her possible offense, speaking the truth about gender ideology. The famous author lives in Glasgow, Scotland, where a new law just went into effect on Monday, criminalizing the act of, quote, stirring up hatred by speaking or behaving in a way that, quote, a reasonable person would consider to be threatening, abusive, or insulting. Insulting? Yes, it is now criminal to insult someone in Scotland, at least if it might, quote, stir up hatred. Free speech is officially dead in Scotland. Scotland, which is literally known for the physical and mental toughness of its people. A country famous for its never-ending gray and gloomy weather. In one area years ago, they only got 36 minutes of sunshine in a month. Okay? Seriously, the Scots are badass. This is the place where clans survived amidst harsh conditions and hostile enemies for centuries. They became infamous for fighting on amidst savage and merciless hostilities. But that was then. Now, if their little feelings get hurt, someone's getting arrested and could possibly go to jail for up to 7 years. What are we doing? The Scottish government says the law will protect against, quote, hate and prejudice without stifling expression, reports the BBC, which quotes the, quote, victims and community safety minister over there, Siobhan Brown, as downplaying fears over the legislation. You see, Ms. Brown said, I think there's been a lot of misinformation about this, before pointing out that this law passed unanimously. And speaking of misinformation, Ms. Brown, this abomination actually passed 82 to 32. So far, too many yes votes for me, but 32 no's makes it non-unanimous, my friend. While Great Britain, which includes Scotland, already criminalizes stirring up hatred based on race, color, nationality, or ethnicity, the Scottish law adds transgender identity, along with sexual orientation, religion, disability, and age to the list. Women, notably, get nothing. No protections. So moms worried about autogynephiles, those who get sexually aroused from cross-dressing, which experts say constitutes over 82% of men claiming they are, quote, trans women. So you're talking about the vast majority who get off by putting on women's clothes? Those guys who decide to change in their little daughters' locker rooms, these moms' daughters' locker rooms, and get erections in their miniskirts? Well, those moms can't say a word about that without potentially facing criminal threat. So you can't insult those men. Keep your mouths shut. So their status as women earns them zero special rights, despite the fact that 91% of victims of rape and sexual assault are female. Nearly 99% of perpetrators are male. But if these males say they're female, you see, you need to STFU and accept that, quote, fact, or you're the one who could be headed to prison in Scotland. This is madness. But wait, supporters of the law remind us a defense to criminal charges under this law is that one's speech or actions, that they were reasonable. Phew, thank God for that. So people arrested for spewing these vile insults, and by that we mean saying fake women are really men, they needn't worry, you see. After the embarrassment of a public arrest, potentially for saying something in your living room and not even in a public forum, and the expense of hiring an attorney, maybe a few nights in jail before the lucky ones bond out, you can go through the joys of a criminal trial, taking off work, being publicly dragged as a criminal, and letting a jury of strangers decide whether your speech was reasonable in their view. What are you complaining about? You see, they care very much in Scotland about hurting the feelings of trans people. Anyone else's humiliation, they don't give a damn. Even misgendering someone, which means accurately gendering them, can land you in jail. That minister I mentioned, Ms. Brown, she was specifically asked about this, misgendering, and she said, well, it would be up to the police to determine whether calling a he a she makes you a criminal. Doesn't matter if you don't believe in the transgender cult or not, you will say she for a 6'6", 280-pound man who wants to play on your daughter's field hockey team. Don't be so insensitive. This is what J.K. Rowling is railing about correctly today. As a resident of Scotland, she says she's not there right now, but if she gets arrested upon return, she says bring it on. And thank God she's got the money and power she does to fight this. However, in Scotland, they're missing something called the U.S. Constitution that protects free speech and the expression of one's opinion, and not to mention fact in this particular case. These are not women. These are men pretending to be women. And J.K. Rowling is not afraid to say that, so she may very well soon be behind bars. Finally, a word about America. Right now, in most places, we are not arrested for speaking the truth about gender and biological sex, no matter if someone finds it insulting. That's why I can still freely say men cannot become women. He's are he's, not she's. Those surgical wounds are not vaginas. Facial feminization will never make a man female. Men who play women's sports are vile cheaters. Men do not belong in women's bathrooms, locker rooms, sororities, prisons, or OBGYN offices. Men cannot give birth. Chest feeding is child abuse. But far too many blue states are coming dangerously close to Scotland, suggesting hostile work environments result from, quote, misgendering a colleague, for example. We've seen that in California and other places. Right now, the U.S. Supreme Court is holding the line. It ruled last summer in 303 Creative, which we covered here on this show, that governments may not compel speech by forcing citizens to speak messages they do not wish to speak. But make no mistake, we are heading for a legal showdown on this issue here in America. And it is imperative that we pay attention and win. With cyber attacks on the rise, protecting your data security is more important than ever. So why is Congress considering a bill that could put your credit card data at greater risk of being hacked and exposed to foreign networks? Our advertiser, the Electronic Payments Coalition, says the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill shifts billions in consumer spending to less secure payment networks, all so that corporate megastores can make bigger profits. Find out more about the issue at electronicpaymentscoalition.org and decide for yourself if you would like to tell your senators to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.